I'm going to talk a lot about three football players, Tobin Rote, Jim Marsalis, and Glenn Dobbs. This is largely a human resources management employee evaluation discussion. This is a book I've decided, I've been writing this book for years. It's about my career, which was evaluating employees, but I've decided this is too much for one book. I'm going to have to divide this into several books. Catalyst and hybrid employees are defined because my work was specific to different companies, corporations. I often use sports as an example of what I was trying to do. I was asked to rate and rank employees. I had to create instruments to rank, to rate employees so they can be compared with each other and then rank them. This is your number one employee, and there are different things. Some, I had an HR career as a lawyer and, HR employment law attorney and consultant, HR talent evaluation, hiring, firing, promotion, demotion, and aptness for their position. You don't necessarily want a quarterback to play left tackle and a left tackle to play quarterback. Need to be apt. So I use sports stats. Remember, all sports statistics are job performance numbers. You just do the same thing for whatever your job is. Have to create individualized for each company how to do this. Now, I also have to discuss legal issues. The United States Supreme Court, in the case of Ricky v. DiStefano, I discussed that and other cases about employee evaluation for ranking purposes. This has reminded me of my first case. I'm all excited. I can use what I've learned in the real world. And this, I can't identify this exactly, but it's because of it's confidential, but this was a fairly substantial division within an enormous corporation. And after my evaluation, I said, you got to fire these three employees. They're hurting production and profitability. And instead, I got fired. The manager I was reporting this to said I wasn't needed anymore. I got, thank you for your time. I got paid. What I did not know, which I'd learned from this, I'm lucky this was my first one, so I learned for the future. The three employees, which were hurting production and profit, were the manager's mother, the manager's wife, and the manager's girlfriend. And he had them working in different units, so they didn't interact. And but these were three he was not going to fire. So live and learn, right? Now I'm going to talk about the three football players. They should, I mean, in the real world, they should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. None of them are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And they're all three positive, good Catalyst employees. Tobin Rote played for Rice University in Houston, Texas. Twice led his team to the sectional championship. His college lead, this back in the 1940s. Cotton Bowl. Now, there were fewer bowl games then. And 2 years in a row, took them to the Cotton Bowl, and they won both. I think he was the 17th overall NFL draft pick, second quarterback taken. Played for the Packers and the Lions, and for the Lions, took his team to the last time the Lions won the NFL championship, 1957. A great player. In the championship game, he threw 4 touchdown passes and ran for a touchdown, and they beat the Cleveland Browns easily. Change of management, he's let go. Goes to Canada, plays quarterback there, takes his team to the game where the team loses, and it's the game just before their Super Bowl, the Grey Cup. So it would be the equivalent of the AFC or NFC divisional championship game. And then he goes to the American Football League for 3 years and takes his team, the Chargers, to the AFL championship game and again wins easily. The NFL champion that year was the Chicago Bears, 1963, and most people thought the Chargers would defeat the Bears in a championship game. That was the first real discussion. Sid Gilman was the Chargers head coach. Great coach. Let's come back to Jim Marsalis. All right, this is even before Tobin Rote. Glenn Dobbs, first team All-American tailback for Tulsa, University of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Took Tulsa to both the Sun Bowl and Sugar Bowl. He was the 3rd overall NFL draft pick. I mean, right near the top. But before he can enter to play in the NFL, World War II starts, and he goes into the military, and he is assigned to be on the military football team. Now, they played college teams, and they tied Texas in the Cotton Bowl. He gets out of the military and goes into what was considered, you have to understand how powerful NFL propaganda is. One of the NFL teams left the NFL to join the All-American Football Conference. That was probably the richest owner of any NFL team, because the AAFC was expected to be superior, and possibly other NFL teams would join the AAFC. Anyway, a team and many players left the NFL for the All-American Football Conference. Now, Dobbs was a pass-throwing tailback, and in the AAFC, he was a leading punter, rusher, passer, and kick returner, all-around ball player. And as it said he won the 1946 AAFC Most Valuable Player Award. Then he leaves and goes to Canada. He's offered more money. Does win a Grey Cup, and is the Canadian Football League Most Valuable Player. Jim Marsalis. When Jim Marsalis played in 1969, he was all AFL cornerback, first team. Next year, the leagues merged. You don't know how powerful the prejudice was against AFL players, but Jim Marsalis was so good, he was named first team All NFL, All Pro at cornerback. Now, while he was only played 4 years, then he was injured. That's why you maybe don't know about him. He was great. The Chiefs led all pro football in interceptions while Marsalis was their cornerback. The other corner is in the Hall of Fame. He led the NFL, well, first the AFL and then the NFL in pass interceptions 2 seasons. And why was he making all those interceptions? Marsalis made very few interceptions. 69, he only made 2 regular season interceptions, then 2 in the playoffs, and 4 in 1970. With Thomas, Johnny Robinson, 2 other Chiefs led the league in interceptions, and that's because they didn't throw the man Marsalis was covering. It's very rare. Because Marsalis was covering the guy. He wasn't open. And he covered the toughest wide receiver. Let's see if I can pull up his picture here. This Marsalis, number 40, and he's covering Fred Biletnikoff, number 25, for the Raiders. He's in the Hall of Fame. Biletnikoff, great receiver. But Marsalis isn't in the Hall of Fame. What they pay attention to are interceptions. And they didn't throw to Marsalis' man most of the time. I think Biletnikoff only caught in the 4 years. And the Raiders, they played the Raiders 2 or more times a year. Playing them in the playoffs. Biletnikoff only caught 1 touchdown pass in his whole career against Marsalis. Marsalis was a Catalyst employee. He made the Chiefs better. He made it possible for Emmett Thomas and Johnny Robinson to lead the league in interceptions. For the Chiefs to overall, well, I'm talking about the Chiefs' 4 defensive backs, the 2 safeties and 2 cornerbacks, compared to the other team's 2 safeties and 2 cornerbacks. You have to compare like with like. Rote, he won championships. He was a calling his own plays. The NFL champion in 1957, AFL championship in 1963. And Dobbs played at the highest level in college, military, and 2 different pro football leagues, the AAFC and the Canadian Football League. He was wanted by the NFL, but you understand these other leagues at that time paid more. Canadian Football League could get players. They'd clear up to when Vince Lombardi was coaching the Packers. His number 1 draft choice went to Canada. They paid him substantially more. So that's where he went. Now, My background again, bachelor's degree, Bachelor of Science, HRM. It was largely an industrial engineering degree, putting numbers on human behaviors. All right, this case, Ricky v. DiStefano, was a Supreme Court case, but it had a long history, and I'm not going into particulars, but the district court ruled, and then the Court of Appeals, and then what's called en banc was denied. Supreme Court granted certiorari, and it was 5-4. I'm going to rest saying what almost everybody has said to me, lawyers, but they're not going to say this to the Supreme Court. Kennedy, Roberts, Scalia, Thomas, and Alito were weasels. They just made a narrow decision. The powerful dissent, Ginsburg, Stevens, Souter, and Breyer. Minority is well reasoned. Was about ranking employees. Got it? First, second, third. Industrial organizational psychology was at issue here. How are the employees ranked? And they talk about, especially in the dissent, an earlier case. And this happened when I was in high school. And it's the first about, again, the type of tests that are acceptable in ranking employees. Griggs versus Duke Power. Okay. So there's legal matters, there's HR matters, then there's examples. Now, when there's a big prejudice against the AFL, the first year the leagues emerged, on offense, there was one, the Kansas City Chiefs tackle, Jim Tyrer. On defense, there's Jim Marsalis, Johnny Robinson, Bobby Bell. 3 on defense. Rest are from traditional NFL teams. Now, yeah, Rich Jackson, but most people said Carl Eller and Deacon Jones. They all have interesting entries on Wikipedia. It's Dobbs. He's better known now as a coach. He was a great coach, but extremely versatile player. And as I said, 3rd overall draft pick for the NFL. World War II starts. He goes into the military, gets out. Canada offers him the most money. He's it's this Western Interprovincial Football Union. It was the forerunner of the Canadian Football League. He's the most valuable player. And in the AAFC, he was their 1946 most valuable player. So the reason why I said I'm going to have to divide the book into several books is it just takes too long to go over each of these different arenas to discuss: legal, social science evaluation, what their statistics. See, the football statistics are just job performance statistics, and he had some great job performance statistics. And every place he played, Tobin Rote, Jim Marsalis, and Glenn Dobbs, he made the team better. So talk more about this in a different video.